Hey guys, how you going? Welcome back to the Boar Shed. We're here today with another Sandy Taupe LandCruiser that has been chopped and 4495 chassified with the JMACX system. So what does that mean? It means this is a huge build. We've got so much gear going into this vehicle that I can't remember what's going on it. But I've got a diff, Warnie's got a gearbox coming out, and suspension?
We're doing suspension.
Anyway, he's gonna do a clutch while I clean this thing up because we gotta get all the stuff that's on this one into that one to then make this work correctly. So that's what's going on right now, but clutch is going in, and then once that's done and this is done, we're gonna stick it all back in there and it'll be coiled, not leafed anymore. No more leafy boys. Hey Warnie.
A tutorial on how to do a clutch.
Yeah.
Like step by step.
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
Everything.
Everything. Well, first of all, you start off by putting the clutch up on the car up on a hoist. You can do it on the ground, but it's really not a fun time. I've done that a few times before. Never again. Then, if you're not doing anything else, you'd leave the wheels on. You would mark the front and rear tail shaft, well, drive shafts. So you can put them back on the correct orientation so you don't have any vibration issues. Even though the shafts themselves are actually balanced, they still should go on the way they came off. Once you have done that, you can start, well, if you have a DPF one, I basically start off with pulling the DPF bolts, so all your dump pipe bolts off the DPF, then all your DPF to gearbox bolts, and then all your plugs and sensors and hoses and stuff like that for your DPF. Disconnect that and then work your way from there. Disconnect everything on the other side, all your wiring looms, all your gearbox selectors. This is a four-wheel drive selector for your low range and your high range four-wheel drive. You got to take this little housing off, which shows you the bottom of the selector, which is right here. And that's when you know how you guys with LandCruiser, you got to pull it up and push it backwards in the low range. That's what that does. So you can get that arm disconnected, so you can then put a stand here and disconnect the clutch. Well, not disconnect the clutch, pull the gearbox out to get the clutch out. And then basically undo all your bell housing bolts, pull it back a little bit, drop it down, and clutch is out, well, gearbox is out. Once the gearbox is out, you then take off your clutch plate and your pressure plate. Then you take off your flywheel. If you have an MPC, you would be getting a flywheel with the kit. If you just have a Safari one, we just fit the factory flywheel that is machined, a brand new factory flywheel. You torque it all up to spec. It's 184 Newton meters for the flywheel bolts, and then it is 44 Newton meters for your clutch plate and pressure plate bolts. And then basically new throwout bearing, new spigot bearing, a little bit of grease on the end of the shaft just so it slides into the bearing nice and easily. A little bit of grease on all your metal to metal areas, not too much because it can get all over the clutch plate. And then reverse operation. Jack the thing up, make sure all your splines are lined up. That's what you got your clutch alignment tool for, which I've already thrown in the bin. Line it up, and then you just work your way in, and then do not do your bell housing bolts up until the face of this bell housing is touching the back of the block. Bob's uncle, adjust the clutch on the pedal, and yeah, we do also change the slave cylinder on the Safari clutches so it maintains that factory pedal feel. But yeah, happy days after that.
So Brent and Warney on Friday smashed the 4495 out on this. We're going to hand it over to the boys now for about 80 hours worth of accessories. Like, there is a huge list on Tully's car. I think this thing is going to look proper.
All right guys, update on Tully's car. We're back, it's on the 4-poster and we've gone a fair distance. So I haven't been here, but the boys have been doing their thing, which means a lot has happened. Child restraint system, rear wall system's gone in, stereo, so basically head unit, door pods, speakers, as you can see. We're getting the interior prepared, waiting to do console, floor console and roof console. So we're just getting them sorted out now because we're going to put our handpiece into it. Then we've got like pre-wiring here for airbags, because we're going to do airbag man gauge up in the pillar pod here. So that's got to happen as well. That's all happened at the back also, which is good. So the guys have got that prepared, ready to go. So this is going to Norwell. Those guys will be throwing a full tray canopy package on it. Then it's going to come back to us, and we've got to do a ARB twin compressor and tank on the passenger side. So we've got a pre-wire for that. I'll show you real quick. That's what all this meat is. So we've got a pre-wire happening here for that. The boys pretty much plug it all so it's ready to rock and roll for when the tray and canopy goes on. Because what's going to happen when it gets back to us will be the box will be already on. So it makes it a little bit difficult to do all this when that's in the way. So we're going to pre-wire it. That way when the car comes back, all we have to do is prop our stuff into the toolbox. So that's going to happen on this side, and then the rest of it's gone and been done. So airbags are ready to go. It's getting 2 reverse cameras. We've got one that's going on the back, and then we're going to do a high mount one on the top of the canopy as well, as a bit of a overview. Out the rear, bar works on, steps and rails. Let's have a quick look at that area. It is the matte black stuff. And then, if you want to jump on there, you should be able to see this over here, which is ECU setup. So all that's gone in, so the RMAX gear's in. The reason why this is here is because we haven't programmed that yet, so that basically just renders it factory. We do have the water-cooled alternator that's gone in as well. That's why the airbox is out. And then the airbox is being modified as we speak. That's what Kane's doing over there on the saw. Bonnet struts. Ready to rock and roll. Little trick for you, if you are working on your own 70 series at home and you're like, oh, I want to do some stuff under the bonnet. Put bonnet struts on. Yeah, bonnet actually opens higher and taller than it does with the ye old doodad holder upper doobalacca thing. What else? Tow pro's gone in, alternator, pre-liner probe vent, the ECU, breather kit as well. We do have those plumbed up to here. And the boys have done the bash plates. So we're running the custom off-road bash plates on this. It is a radiator guard because the genuine ones are plastic. So we run a radiator one and we run a transfer case one as well, which just covers up that back end of your transfer case, dangles off the back of the box underneath. So that's where we're at. We've got all those things gone in. Lithium battery as well, Invicta Lithium Hybrid. So that's what's going on there. That's pretty much going to be running basically everything in this. So that's direct charge off your alternator. Obviously this being a fully sealed, water-cooled alternator. This one here is punching out 200 amps, so that thing is going to be charging up in no time. Roof rack went on. This is a Rhino rack system in this, and we got left and right work lights on that on either side. So that's going to keep light happening as these guys are tripping around. Anyway, pretty sure that's where we're at. Next steps are it'll go away, get the tray canopy put on, and then come back to us for the final installment of all of our accessories. So we'll keep you posted, but that's where we're at with Tully's.
All right guys, that wraps up Tully's 79 series build here at the BAW shed. Now, Tully has named this 79 the Camel. There is a backstory to this, and I apologise straight away, Tully, if I have got this wrong, but the name Camel has come from a trip that he did when he was a bit of a younger fella. He was driving through the desert, and at about 40 or 50 kilometres an hour, he looks out the window and noticed there was a camel running next to him. He was playing around and jumping around and having a great old time. And Tully thought to himself that that's a perfect name for a car because, and a LandCruiser, because they're so reliable. They just keep going and going and going, and they're not the most fast car, but they'll definitely get you there. Let's run you through Tully's Camel. All right, I've got the job card here for Tully's Camel, so we'll run you through each and every product that we have done. Starting underneath with the suspension, we've done the 4495 GVM. It will upgrade you to the 4-ton towing, so if you've got a big van, this is a great solution for you. It's a 300mm stretch, so a longer wheelbase, and it's a completely new chassis, so we cut it off up underneath and a whole new JMACX chassis is put in there with the coil conversion. So the JMACX 4495 super chassis has a lot of components involved with it, so you can put a winch in the back in the cradle. You get a 3.5-inch Torqued exhaust. You get the 185 litre Brown Davis fuel tank. The Airbag Man airbags has the tow point incorporated into the back of the super chassis itself. You have front radius arms, front springs, rear springs, a selection of shocks to pick from with the JMACX Pro Series, the JMACX Alpha, be it manually adjusted outside the cab or in-cab electric, and the King shocks from King Shocks Australia. Tully has opted for the manual Alphas in his build, which will give him a nice smooth ride and give him the adjustment for when he is out west and travelling on those dirt roads to make it a bit more smoother on the corrugations. The wheel and tyre package that Tully has chosen is the ROH Assault. So we've gone with 6 wheels on this build, so he's got 2 spares. They are wrapped in the Toyo Open Country RTs, so aggressive all-terrain, so it's more or less like a half-breed between an all-terrain and a mud terrain, but it keeps the noise down, so it's a nice tyre to drive on. It is a 295 70/17. All right, offering the front protection, we've gone with the ARB matte black bar work, so that's your bull bar, your side rails and steps. To tie in the black theme, we've also done the LineX top coating on the tread plate for where you step up into the cab. Behind the bar work, we've gone the Carbon Offroad winch, so we offer a in-cab control option, so you've got the flick of a switch while you're sitting in the driver's seat to be able to control the winch in and out. So great thing about the carbon winches is this one here is the 12,000 pound. It is one of the lighter winches on the market, which I think they weigh in around the 24 kilo mark off the top of my head. Moving into communication, we have the GMACX UHF radio system. So we've got the short antenna mounted on the front of the bull bar here. In our packages, we also offer the longer antenna, which means you can take this one off. You just basically unscrew it and take it off and put the longer one on. The Main reason we offer both aerials is so that on like hilly countries, like if you're in the Victorian high country or basically even in the city, the shorter aerial gives you a better range up and over buildings or trees or things like that. Whereas you can swap out for the longer aerial whip, which allows you to travel out west or down beaches and things like that, and it'll give you a longer distance down a flat sort of plain with nothing around. Up into the engine bay, so we've done a few features, and one of the ones that every 70 Series LandCruiser who has a lift in their car should get is the BT bonnet struts. So makes it so easy to be able to lift up your bonnet. I'm not a very tall person, so putting that rod up into the big heavy bonnet, it's just made a dream with these struts, so highly recommend doing them. I'm glad Tully has as well. So we have replaced the main cranking battery of Tully's 79 with the Invicta Hybrid Lithium. Now, this is a fantastic battery if you're wanting to run a fridge, wanting to run some camp lights, but without the need of running a DC to DC charger. So it offers a cycling function through it, so you can run these items without your battery essentially going flat and not being able to crank your car over. In the event that you do that and the car won't start, they do leave a 20% reserve, which there is a button on top of the battery which you can push and crank your car and it will charge back up, let's say half an hour, 45 minutes, and it'll be back to 100%. It does have Bluetooth functionality, so you can always keep an eye on the battery and see how much percentage left, so you don't have to even push the button on the battery. You just say, all right, it's time to start the car. Within 20-30 minutes, it's charged back up. So a really, really good option. And for Tully, he's putting a canopy on this car down the track, so having a battery bank in that canopy will most likely happen, but this will get him out of trouble for his short little trips. To improve the drivability of the 79, we do have to do a clutch within the 4495, and this brings us into the Safari ARMAX package. So using an 1100 Newton meter ARMAX clutch, the Safari ARMAX snorkel, which is a 4-inch tube down the side of the car, and also the Safari ARMAX ECU system. So putting all that together will give you a power increase, which is safe and reliable. It also maintains your factory Toyota warranty, which is a big thing when building these brand new cars that are very, very expensive. Great benefits of the ECU is that it has safe functionality. So if you're going up a hill and the motor or the EGTs are getting too high, it will pull back power out of the ECU, so you're not increasing, and we all know diesels, EGTs, not a good time when they get really high. Another safe feature of the ECU is cold start. So you'll start the car, you will notice that the power won't come on until your vehicle is up to running temperature, and when that does happen, you will have the full benefit of the ECU. Couple that with a 5-map select stage on the dash. So there's a push button selection of different modes on the dash, which will give you sport mode, comfort mode, 4-wheel drive mode, towing mode, and complete back to factory, so it's standard. In the event of the ECU or something going wrong, so if you have engine lights on the dash or something like that, you can physically take the ECU out of play. So you disconnect it under the bonnet and they give you a dongle to plug in, so it reverts the car completely back to factory. If you have an internet connection and cellular device to be able to talk to Safari, you can plug it in, jump on the phone to them and say, hey, something's going wrong, and they can remotely check what is going on in your system and give you pointers on how to fix it. Finally, under the bonnet, we have the pre-lined filter and the Provent oil catch cans. So the pre-lined system is designed to let you know if there is any sort of water or dirt in the system. It'll alarm at you. There's a light on the dash that we put, so that way you're aware and you're not gonna end up hurting your injectors, which are $5,000–6,000 to replace all 8 injectors. So that's a nice little cheap insurance to maintain your vehicle's driveline essentially. All right, up on the roof, Tully has gone for the Rhino Pioneer platform. So that's a great storage solution. You can throw bags up there, timber up there. There's a whole host of accessories like jerry can holders, shovel holders, awning brackets that you can buy and basically slide in their channels and hold everything on. Underneath that platform, we've gone the Road Vision 13-inch light bars, so helping him left and right for camping or spotting or anything outside of the vehicle. Finishing off with storage, Tully has opted for the Norwell tray package, so it's an extended package which has your front underbody boxes, rear underbody boxes, trundle drawer and water. It's colour coded, the tray sides to the colour of the car, and the fresh aluminium finish that Norweld is renowned for. All right, in the very back left-hand side underbody box, we've done the ARB twin compressor with the tank system, coupling that with the Airbag Man solenoid, which gives you the functionality to have in-cab controls for your airbags. So you can pump them up and down on the fly without having to get out of your vehicle, get the ARB hose out and plug it into the back of the vehicle. If you still like doing that, we give you the option as well at the back of the vehicle for the manual inflation. A couple of underbody protection, driveline protection things that we've added to this vehicle is the driveline breathers. So we do the front and rear diff as well as the gearbox. Other protection plates include the custom off-road bash plates, which sit underneath the radiator and steering arm, as well as the transfer case. Something different we've done on Tully 79 is the compact clear views. So instead of having your traditional 2-glass feature with your blind spot and your normal glass up the top, we have just done the single compact version, which still gives you the electric functions in the cab to adjust your mirror, tilt it in and out, up and down. Let's open the door of Tully's car. We've done a full stage 4 sound deadening package. So roof, doors, floor, 4 stages throughout, designing it to be quiet, comfortable, and listen to the banger audio system we've put in this. So using the Department of Interior door pods, focal speakers and the Kenwood head unit, which offers 4 inputs for cameras. We're gonna run 2 on this. 1 is already fixed at the back and we've got another camera running in for when the canopy is placed on, so he's got a high view as well. Finishing off the sound system, we've got the full sub setup behind the seat. So it's got the focal 10-inch sub in there, a cutout for the child restraints, which he's also opted to add to this setup. If you're looking for a really, really slapping audio system, this is the one for you. Sorry guys, if you can't hear us, we've got a lot going on. Finishing off the interior, Department Interior floor console, so it gives you that nice armrest at a nice height so you can have a nice lean when you're driving. Gives you 2 cup holders, which we all know very well the 79 does not allow for, and a little cup tray for your coins and phones and things like that. The XRS pass-through is also coupled into the front of the console, as well as twin USB system there for charging your phones or cameras or things like that. On the roof, Tully's gone the T-shaped roof console, so offering the most storage with above the driver, above the passenger, and also in the center. And it offers a Nava light at the back, which is quite large and will brighten up everything in the cab when it's turned on. It has a dimmer function or a complete off function as well. Finally, a couple of nice additions to this 79 is color coding the flares so it matches the Sandy Taupe paint. They do come in like a silvery color, which looks a bit odd. If you want to tie it all in nice and neat, the flare color change to either the same color as the car or a black is quite a big option that we do. Finally, to wrap this up, we have done the ceramic window tint. So this is great for insulation, keeps the heat out and gives you a little bit more privacy in the car as well for when the windows are up. That wraps up the build episode on Tully 79. Now, he probably hasn't seen this car just yet when we film this, but I can tell you right now, he is gonna be super stoked. I've been on the phone to him a lot. He is so excited. This has been a 6-year plan for him. So we are stoked to hand it over late next week. If you want to follow along, like, subscribe. We'll see you later in the next YouTube episode.